Hello, welcome back. So today we're back working on Oxford, our mountain village playthrough, and we're going to be looking to do some expansion and then start our education system. So I think we're going to expand on this left-hand side here, and then maybe a couple of tiles on the right, and then education-wise we'll look to put through our elementary school and then the high school as well. So we'll start by just grabbing a couple of tiles. So we've got 7 in total to use currently. So not a problem that we grab these 4 to either side. I think we'll focus on the left-hand side to begin with. And we can see we've got some resources, but not quite at the point where we've got the specializations for industry that we need. As always then, we'll start with expanding out our roads. So we'll use that large road that we've already got in place. And we might as well expand it down. And we'll expand it a bit further there, in case at some point in the future we want to go across the river. So we'll make a connection there, throw in a roundabout like we've done just to the north of it. Yeah, because actually the other side of the river that's where the highway comes in, so we could have another connection when we do expand. Okay, continue with the road, so we'll just do the overall kind of grid layout and then we'll look to do something a bit more detailed. So we'll continue our grid up here. Again, just leaving the spaces to the main road like we've done in our first section of the town. Then bring that further along and then we can connect up to form the square. That probably needs another connection to that main road rather than just relying on that bottom one. And rather than use a roundabout, we'll just do a traditional crossroads there with some lights. And then normally, as we've done in the original side, we've just looked to build kind of as bigger areas that would typically spawn. But I think here we're going to look at making a 4x4 as our kind of base size, which means if we put the first couple of 4s down, then we can put the road, oh, that was slightly too short, put the road down and then maintain that 4 grid gap. Now you can't just drag across the entire area because then it will spawn in multiple different sizes, whereas if you keep it to this 4 grid here and alternate either side, then once they fill in with the original construction we can come back and just fill in block load. Now there's a chance, yep, that we don't quite fit the 4 in, but that's still fine, and then we can fill in the rest because they've already started to be constructed, so all that's left is those missing 4x4s that we've not done. So moving on to education then, we'll start by placing our elementary school. And I think I want to place it actually inside the grid to make it a bit more cohesive with the neighbourhood. So we'll put this straight up against the junction there. And I was going to 2 parking spaces, but we're not actually unlocked those, so we've got 2 development points. So we'll unlock the parking spaces. We can throw them in now. Since this is the only elementary school, now we're actually just going to use one of the smaller parking lots on offer. And then we'll make use of the alleyway actually. So it's a much smaller road, doesn't have the sidewalks. It feels a bit more fitting for kind of going around the parking areas around the back of the school. More of like an access only or maintenance road rather than a full road. So it's fine, wrapped all the way around. So it's probably now time to place our high school down. So we're going to keep it quite nice and close. Oh, and that's unlocked our large village. So fire departments and police now available. So look at that a little bit later. And also livestock farming, stone, which we probably will get into a little bit later, but forestry is the one I really want to get into on this map, and the abundance of trees that are here. So I typically don't upgrade, as you've seen, but I do really quite like the high school with the stadium right next to it, so we'll place that straight down. And then, same principle, we'll look to use this alleyway to go around the building, including the stadium. And then because of the stadium, because it's a high school, we'll actually put the biggest overground parking lots we can, and 2 in fact. And that should give more than enough space. So we can wrap around the back of these as well. So there's a few different routes you can get in and out of these car parks. And I think I'll just tidy this up so that we'll go straight forward. We can delete these instead. So a little bit of detailing then. I think I'd like there to be a path so you could get to and from the car parks to the high school. So just put a couple of paths in here. Actually, detach it from the grid so I can get the right placement. So you can see there's a little path next to the entrance to the car park there. So I would want to ideally line it up close to there, so you can observe the crossings on the floor as well, which gives it quite a nice look. Make some connections there, so they can safely cross, and then we could do something a little bit similar here. Don't need the zipper crossing here, so we'll go from right to left, connect it up there. So obviously building it here, this elementary school and surrounding it, means we're not going to be able to upgrade it. So some of the upgrades require it to actually fit across the side, although we can have the extension wing over the top. Now, not quite the same with the high school. They are placed on the original plot, and we've already placed the stadium down, so not concerned for the high school. So time to put some trees in. So time lapse this over a little bit and then get back on. So I think that's enough trees and bushes in those areas, and now we can do some more of the zoning. But first, I don't really want them the zoned buildings to come off those alleyways. So not going to attach them to the alleyway, instead we'll put some roads down. Okay, it's probably not going to maximise the amount of use of the area, but I find that that's where some of the cities look best, where they're not trying to kind of gamify it and fill every single square possible. Actually, some of the absence of the buildings, where you can put some more detailing in, you know, whether it's the paths or using the developer tool, that's where you can really bring the cities to life. So we'll leave that gap there, and we'll come back and do some detailing in another video. I'm trying to get these to not attach to the alleyway here. Some of it does require a little fine tuning with deleting and rezoning in order to get the type of building that you want. Oh, so much better. So again, happy with that gap. You can see that all around the side. That's fine. And then zoning wise, going to see if we can go with the same principle of the commercial lining the large road and then fill in using some of this medium density that we've just unlocked, since that's what's got quite a bit of demand at the minute. And we can just go back to this side and fill in some of that low residential. Fast forward slightly there. And then we're going to use the same principle here, so 4x4, and I'll skip through this. So that's done. You can see not really got any demand, and that's because as soon as we do get any, it's filling in all of the pre-zoned areas. So you can see there's a small amount of commercial there, and then that building's just popped up here, and we're back down to none. So we do need to let this run for a little bit. See, industrial-wise, still got quite a lot of space there. And over here, you can see everything's filled in. I've got a waiting for hearse issue over there. Let's just check the healthcare. So we're fine. Our clinic's still more than enough to handle the injured or sick. Crematorium is fine. Obviously, we've not got any availability since we opted not to put a cemetery down. But maybe we'll just put one down anyway. Just thinking of the best spot. Oh, there is that little bit of road sticking out there. Maybe it goes just here. And obviously that's going to give us a few more hearses to drive around, and obviously our citizens are a choice of the crematorium or the cemetery. So most of this area is quite flat still. We've not really got to the point where we've needed to worry about the elevation too much. So just checking the demand, and still it's mostly medium demand rather than the low demand. So we may actually need to make some tweaks to bits we've already zoned. So we're not getting a lot of commercial fill in. Maybe I steal some of this for medium. And that, yeah, that's instantly popping up. Obviously, which in turn does drive a bit more commercial anyway. You can see a few more commercial buildings pop up as a result. And education-wise, we'll check this while it's running. So elementary is fine. High school's fine, more than enough capacity in both. Obviously not too worried about the college or university just yet, even though we do have some eligible. And you can see the kind of distribution of the city across our uneducated, poorly educated, and educated citizens. Now, what we unlocked from becoming a large village was fire and the police. Obviously with all those trees, that's a big fire hazard, not too bad when it comes to our crime levels. But nonetheless, it's worth putting down both. So fire, I do like to put it in my industrial area. See, that's naturally where you'd expect some of the bigger fires, especially in the landfill areas. So put the firehouse down there. And then police-wise, prefer to put this closer to the residential, just because it's likely that the citizens will be travelling there to report their crimes, so better to have it closer to the town centre. There's a nice gap there we can fit, highly accessible just off the highway entrance. Right next to the little detailed row house area we done last time. So it's slowly filling in. And we're not too far away from levelling up to a grand village. What I'm really wanting to hit, not natural disasters, but our forestry. I said there's so many trees on this map, and I think it would be quite fitting with the theme to make the most of that. We also get transportation and some parks and various other one-off special buildings. You see, we're slowly getting that trickle in, and perhaps we just fill in a bit more with our medium density, since that's the only, well, there was some instantly filled. So I think we're going to have to let this play out a little bit, and eventually we'll have some of these lower areas. Oh, Polaris Suites unlocked. Yeah, we'll eventually let this fill in, so we skip forward a little bit and then we'll be back. So I've skipped forward slightly, but the issue we have is the demand is still in medium and high rather than the low, so we're not getting our 4x4 section really filled in on the left. So if we overwrite some bits over here, and we can throw in some commercials since we've got some demand for that as well. So it will eventually delete itself, but we will help it out and just delete it as well. And even by deleting those low density areas, obviously the demand that was there for that is now going to shift over to the left hand side, so you can see it's starting to fill in. And then because it's filled in, we can now go straight over the top. It's going to fill in the rest of those 4x4 spaces. Although you can see there's quite a few that have actually only gone 2 width, but that's fine. I more just wanted to focus on having smaller residential plots rather than just the biggest ones. And then if we overwrite that with the high density we have available, do another road connection there. So we'll let that build out, and then we'll cut to our cinematic.